All right.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing?
We were moving a little bit more, so
Okay.
I've got the phone wedged up inside my sweatshirt where I can listen to it. So
Okay.
you'll have to read the comments. So
Yeah, no worries. So it's going to start off a little slow. I don't have the following you do, so
sure.
So I just have some, I guess, just some questions, just something fun to talk about.
Okay.
For you. That's why we're
All
started.
right.
So I know just a couple minutes ago you were talking about a 6.5 300 Weatherby.
Yeah.
So here's my question: if you were ever able to get, not able, but if you ever decided to buy a Weatherby cartridge, which one would you get?
Well, the six.
You there? Oh, you cut out. Guys, I think we lost them for a sec.
Are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right. I guess I can't hold it like that. Okay, we're live. Good. All right. Cool. So I guess the 6.5 by 300 Weatherby doesn't really count since that was originally wildcatted. Am I mistaken there? Or,
I mean, I would say that counts. It's a factory Weatherby offering, so.
Yeah, then that's probably what I'd buy. To be honest with you, though, if I could buy any one of them, I'd probably say, money being no issue, I'd probably say 3378 Weatherby.
That would be fun.
Yeah. And the reason is I want to load M80 ball bullets in it and see if they'll go through level 4 best. That's the only reason why I want it. But my goal is to eventually have something that you can hand load for that will go through level 4 body armor with bullets that are readily available.
Awesome. My pick, and it's something I'm hoping to get, I don't know, maybe in the next year, would be a 340 Weatherby.
Nice.
Logically speaking, I don't know if I would really need it because I already have a 300 Weatherby. So it's not really that big of a bump up, from a 300 to a 340. But it's something I've always wanted. It just seems like a cool cartridge to me. But
you need it, therefore you want, and you need it because you want it, and you need it to fulfill your wants.
Exactly, and it's a great.
Did not work on my ex-wife. That line did not work on my ex-wife. I just want you to know.
I will try something different for my wife. Okay. Hey guys that are here, please feel free to ask questions. I'm just asking Alaskan Ballistics some questions while we're waiting for questions. So please feel free to ask him or me any question you want. Okay. Here's my next question for you. Why did you start your YouTube channel?
I was experiencing a lot of pain in my legs at the time, and I couldn't really do a lot of walking, and so hunting was kind of out, and I wanted to justify having all my guns. So I kind of decided one day on a whim, I was like, well, I know how to put things on YouTube. I used to do it because I worked at a car dealership and was putting the car videos on YouTube. And I was like, crap, I'll just record stuff and put it up there. I actually started my music channel first. For those people that don't know, I write classical music as a hobby. And I had experienced some success with videos getting out there and people making comments on them. They're not huge, but and I put a video up on that one about the 45 Super, and it got like 5,000 or 6,000 views. And I put it up over on my music channel, which is called Bost, B-O-S-T, Custom Music Writing. Yes, I'm shamelessly plugging there. So I put one up on my music channel, and basically it did so well that the next stuff I decided to put up on my ballistic, make a new channel, because 5,000 views was like, organically was like a lot for that little music channel. So I figured I will try that.
Well, the reason, I know I've told my chat, but quick little short story why I started my channel was I got my 300 Weatherby. I was really excited to learn more about it. And there's literally like 3 videos on the 300 Weatherby on YouTube. So, and probably one of my favorite channels at the time on YouTube was Hunt Simple. Have you ever heard of him?
Yes, I have.
Okay, he's no longer on YouTube. I'm not sure why he deleted all of his videos, but his was kind of a big inspiration, kind of the format he does his videos. And so October and doing absolutely nothing during the pandemic, I was like, yeah, I might as well try it. So that's why. Okay, Alaskan, I think you have a question from Trevor. Opinions on 6.5 by, oh, let me pull it up. I'll show it. Trevor says, opinions on 6.5 by 47 Lapua for a 0 to 300 yard deer hunting round.
Hey, if you've got the bullets and the powder and the casings to hand load it, go for it, man. That would be an awesome caliber for deer hunting. 127 grain Barnes LRX, 140 grain Accubon long range. Get you a little bit more powder capacity than 6.5 Creedmoor. I've killed a caribou with 6.5 Creedmoor, which is a little bit more powder, a little less powder than the Lapua, if I'm not mistaken. So you should be able to get a little bit more velocity than the Creedmoor, and that's where the Creedmoor really stinks, is its velocity lacks in velocity. It gets enough velocity to be effective with its BC, but it's still not going to outdo 270 because 270 doesn't get enough velocity, or 270 gets so much more velocity than the Creedmoor. Yeah. So that's kind of what we're doing here.
And then I guess I'll answer too. I think almost any of the 6.5 cartridges are going to be great deer hunting cartridges. Maybe with the exceptions of the 26 Mauser and the 6.5 300. But I mean, the point is to kill them, so those would definitely do it. All right, Jess says, good evening, guys. Always liked Hunt Simple. So did I. Okay, Alaskan, I got another question for you. Okay.
Okay.
What is your bare minimum accuracy for a bolt gun?
1 MOA.
Yeah.
If I can't get 1 MOA, I sell it. Period. So
that's what I might be doing with my 270 soon.
Yeah, I might be doing it with my 270 as well. Although I'm getting close. There's certain loads I get close with. And actually, it's my wife's 270. It actually likes factory Winchester PowerPoint 130 grain. That's what it loves. So, it totally loves that. So,
nice.
Yep.
All right. Trevor says, also, Weatherby, have you checked out Western Hunter Classics? I had him do inlays in my Weatherby Ultramark. No, I haven't. So, but okay. While we're waiting for more questions to come in. All right. Lastly, I want to know what you think is the most underrated cartridge.
Well, you probably know my answer to this already. 6.5 by 284 Norma.
Yep, that's my guess.
Yeah, I just fell in love with it. It can get almost everything a 6.5 PRC does without burning the barrel out as quickly. It's easy to hand load. Well, I say that it's actually not, but it's fairly easy to hand load. My particular Savage 111. It's just a cheap before the AccuFit stock, before the AccuStock even. It's just a cheap Savage 111, and it's the most accurate rifle I have. It outshoots my Bergaras, my Tikka, my Remington, my Ruger, M77. It outshoots all of them. And yeah, it might be that combination of that gun. And, I'm sure there are other guns of other calibers that shoot well, but for what I see, it is 6.5 Creedmoor will easily take down a caribou with the right bullet in the right spot. So 6.5 to 284 ought to do the exact same thing because it happens to like the same bullets. It likes that 127 grain Barnes LRX, also my favorite bullet. So
it's going quite a bit quicker than the Creedmoor. What is it, 100 feet per second faster at least?
So in my Creedmoor, I didn't put it on the video. The factory Barnes, because I hadn't nailed down my hand loads yet. The factory Barnes gets what is it? 2888 average with a horrible standard deviation because Barnes was made by Remington for a while. And I get like a 10 or 15 standard deviation, which is not great for hand loads, but it's better than that Remington factory by a lot. In the 6.5 by 284 Norma, I'm getting 30-40 to 30-60, somewhere in there. I can't remember. So you're talking 180 feet per second in that particular gun, those two particular guns.
Nice. That's a difference.
Yeah. Unless I find a certain powder, Reloader 26, which I have not been able to find, I'm not going to get much more in 6.5 PRC. In fact, with the two rifles I have, I might get less than 6.5 PRC than 6.5 by 284 Norma, just because my 6.5 PRC has a 24-inch barrel plus a muzzle brake to make it 26 inches, whereas my 6.5 by 284 is just a straight up tapered lightweight barrel, 26 inches. So
nice. Okay, Jess has a question for you. You can pick one center fire rifle for Alaska. What's your pick? Alaskan Ballistics.
One center fire rifle for Alaska to do it all. I mean, any of your standard calibers that would do it all could do it. But my pick, I would have to say 300 Weatherby Magnum.
Wow.
300 Winchester Magnum is a good round. Maybe I might pick 300 PRC. Because the 300 PRC is a much better long distance than the 300 Winchester or Weatherby Magnum because of its case. The neck of the case fully engages the bullet all the way down to the shoulder, and the Weatherby and the I know the Winchester Magnum. You tell me if I'm wrong. The Weatherby Magnum doesn't necessarily engage the bullet at where the shoulder meets the neck.
Yeah.
I'd have to look it up in the reloading manual for the Weatherby Magnum. The Winchester doesn't. So I'm saying probably 300 PRC or 300 Weatherby Magnum, only because I don't think 300 Win Mag, it'll do a grizzly bear just fine. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't think it has that umph to really knock it over if it's charging you, unless you make a perfect shot, just like with the handgun or whatever. And whereas like 338 Winchester Magnum, 340 Weatherby Magnum have that umph. So I'm thinking you need just a little bit more umph, a little bit more foot-pounds of energy to make it hurt more for like if a grizzly bear is charging you. Plus, bison are huge. You got to think about bison is like shooting the biggest Texas bull on the ranch, you know? And then sort of bison hunts are up here. That's like 1,200 pounds of meat. Just the meat you get from a bison is 1,200 pounds. And then you got to think about like there's big grizzly bears can be 1,500 pounds on the hoof, but your average is going to be 11 to 1,200 grizzly bear pounds on the hoof for a big boar. So I'm thinking you just need a little more umph than a 300 Winchester Magnum, but you don't want to do a 338 or a 375 against a caribou. I mean, it's just way too much. So, one thing for anything in Alaska, 300 Weatherby, 300 PRC would be my choice because I'm weird. Most people choose a 300 Win Magnum for that reason. I went to buy a 300 Win Mag and they were sold out on Black Friday, so I bought a 7mm Rim Mag. And really, for me, I say my choice would be 300 PRC, but for me, I've already made the choice of 7mm Rim Mag because with the right bullet in the right place, it'll do the same thing that any of those other calibers I just mentioned would. It's 90% shot placement, 9% bullet construction, and 1% power is your kill ratio, in my opinion. All right, that's just me.
I have a weird obsession with the 340, so I think that would be my go-to. But I have zero reservations using a 300 Weatherby.
Yeah, and you shouldn't. And the thing about the 338 Winchester Magnum or the 340 Weatherby Magnum, you can load those 160 grain Barnes TTSX I did a video on a few months back, and I was getting just under 3,300 feet per second. And so now I've got a 160 grain. It's going the speed. Its BC isn't that high, but it's going the speed to have a really good flat shooting. So you could use that on caribou. it is going so fast that at short range, it's not going to penetrate very much. It'll hold together the barns because it's a barns, but that TTSX flattened out. I mean, pretty darn good as far as a TTSX goes. That's the most flattened TTSX I've ever seen. A 338 160 grain, and they make that bullet for the 338 Federal. So that's that. All right. Next question.
Okay. Trevor says 284 is the most underrated. I think he's talking 284 Winchester.
All right, say it again.
Trevor just mentioned 284 is the most underrated.
Yeah, that's a very underrated cartridge, the 284 Winchester. I didn't learn about it until I got my 6.5 by 284. And then I saw Ron Spomer's video on it, who does great work. And yeah, the 284 Winchester is everything the 7mm 08 and the 280 Remington wish they could be together if they had a child. And both of those are great cartridges. So I own a 7mm 08 for the kid, and really they say the fishing game says 7mm 08 is the lowest thing you should hunt with in Alaska, period. If you're going out hunting for something and you run into a big grizzly bear that's hunting you, 7mm 08 is the lowest thing they want you carrying. All right. Of course, I've carried 6.5 Creedmoor, so whatever.
All right. Bob says the 340 Weatherby is a good long distance cartridge.
Oh yeah, it is. With the right bullets in it and everything, but I just don't think it's as flat shooting with the right bullets as like 7mm Weatherby or 7mm rim mag, and I could be wrong. Or 6.5 by 300 or 6.5 PRC. I just don't think it's as flat shooting as those high BC calibers as much. But hey, if you like it and you want to use it for 5, 6, 7, 800 yards, and you know what you're doing, yeah, it's a good long range cartridge. I would say it's just a little bit much for caribou, in my opinion. If you get a caribou at 200 yards, you're going to tear all the meat up. So
probably. I mean, it almost matches the 338 Lapua in performance, and maybe it does match it if hand loading it. But I mean, it'll shoot a 300 grain bullet 2,700 feet per second. So
I did not know that. That's pretty cool. Yeah, whereas the 338 Winchester mag in the Barnes manual, it's got the 285 at like 2,200 feet per second.
Yeah, this is the Nosler just data that I saw. It was saying 27 to 2750, which is about the same as the 338 Lapua. Okay. Jess says, I don't think there's much a 180 TTSX at 3250 feet per second won't take care of. It's true, I think.
Agreed.
Okay, Tom, think of selling my 270 Weatherby mag to buy a 7mm Rem mag for less expensive and more available ammo. I rarely shoot the Weatherby for whitetail. I normally use 308 or 30-06. What's your opinion?
Well, I like having odd caliber, so I'd say don't do it if you hand load. If he doesn't hand load, well, heck yeah, if you're not hand loading, why do you own a Weatherby caliber? That's just crazy. But yeah, I would say if you hand load, don't do it. If you don't hand load, do it.
Yeah, I think 270 is a pretty cool. 270 Weatherby is a pretty unique, cool cartridge. I mean, it's shooting a 130 grain over 3,400 feet per second. I would say keep it. So, unless you have to buy the factory ammo, then yeah, maybe you shouldn't keep it. Okay, yeah, Trevor.
Even before the crisis, factory ammo for Weatherby was $85, $90 a box. I'm sure it's $120 now. And that's for the lighter Weatherbys.
Yeah. Okay, Trevor says, I got my load worked up. This is talking about its 284 Winchester, pushing a 175 Accubon long range at 2770. Half-minute MOA and hits like a hammer. Pretty much a low 7mm mag in a short action.
Yeah, it's a low-end 7mm Remington Magnum in a short action. Yeah, I agree. That's a great load. I wonder if that's like he's worked it up to where it's above what the book says and it's okay and safe in his rifle, or if that's what the max charge in the book says. Let us know, Trevor.
No, I'm thinking that's over what the book says. But
agreed.
That seems
but I mean,
hard.
if you work it up safely in your rifle, I mean, people do it. I mean, just one or 10th grading at a time until you see pressure signs. So,
yeah. All right. So Tom the one that asked you about the 270 Weatherby and switching it up for a 7mm Rem mag, he says, I don't hand load. I won this rifle 25 years ago.
I need to have your luck at winning rifle. If you don't hand load, yeah, sell it. Keep your scope though. If you like your scope, keep it and put it on the 7 Rim mag. But yeah, you are gonna get, like, I think the 270 Weatherby should be a little flatter than 7mm Rim mag, but you can get the heavier bullets without having to buy a new barrel for your twist rate, because I'm pretty sure they don't twist the 270 Weatherby for heavy bullets, do they?
No, that's one thing I think Weatherby really needs to adjust, especially their 7mm Weatherby. It's still like a 1 in 10 twist, so you can't even shoot like the high BC 175 grain bullets in a 7mm Weatherby. So,
yeah, it's supposed to be a 1 in 9, at least a 1 in 9 or 1 in 9.5 to shoot them, and a lot of people want a 1 in 8 these days to shoot the 190 grainers.
Okay, Trevor responded about the 284. He says it's definitely above the book. With a 26-inch barrel, with the 284, you have to do your own load developments for most things.
I can understand that.
Okay, Gary, have you seen Christensen Arms' new rifles? I like the new FFT Mesa, and I'm sure lots of guys will like the new modular rifle.
I have not seen them. Not seen them at all. I'm sorry, my friend.
I watched Backfire TV's video SHOT Show today. I think he showed them. I can't remember, but they're nice rifles. Tom says thanks. Okay,
you're welcome.
Tom was the 270 Weatherby guy. All right, so Alaskan, your dream rifle and what caliber would it be in?
Ooh. I was just telling you about that Weatherby Vanguard I picked up in the store the other day, and it was in 6.5 by 300 Weatherby, and it was a nice rifle for the amount of money. So for a hunting rifle, it would be that Weatherby Vanguard. I forget which model it is, but it's the Cerakoted model with the spiral fluted barrel and a 26-inch barrel with a thread at the end, so you can add a muzzle brake to a 26-inch barrel instead of having a 24-inch barrel and then a muzzle brake. So I would get that rifle to hunt in Alaska. I would get it in 7mm Weatherby mag or 7mm Rim mag, one of the two. Just because I like what 7mm does and everything here. That being said, I wouldn't mind a 300 BRC or a 300 Win Mag. I just already have a lot of 7mm Magnum ammo. Why would I change it up? You know what I mean? Right now, especially with there's an ammo crisis. No ammo crisis. Money no issue. Yeah, I would probably get that same rifle, or some type of lightweight Bergara like the Premier Ridge or something like that. If I got the Bergara one right. And I would probably get it in, 300 PRC or 300 Win Mag. But right now, that's an $8.99 gun at my local store, and it's very lightweight. You can put a muzzle brake on it. It fits me well, so I would go with that. The Weatherby Vanguard, whatever model, is the $8.99 with the spiral fluting and the Cerakoting and the nicer trigger in it.
So Jess says he thinks it's the Mediator edition, which I kind of agree with him. It's a really nice looking rifle.
Yeah, I think he's right. I think that's what it is.
Okay. For me, I'd get a Weatherby Mark V Deluxe in 340 Weatherby or 257 Weatherby. Gary says, I watched Backfire 2 and they look very cool. Darren says, I'm late. Guitars and Ghosts. Midway USA has Weatherby Select Ammunition, 300 Weatherby Mag, 180 grain Hornady interlock for $64 a box right now. So I have a local store that's had interlock ammo for the last month, and it was only high $50 range. So I did get an email from Weatherby. Hey, can you hear us?
There. Sorry, I lost volume there.
Oh, okay.
We're good. You're saying you had a local store that had it what?
I had a local store that has the 180 grain interlock for mid $50 range. I don't know. I just not really tempted to buy interlock bullets. So
Yeah, I don't think they would hold up out of like I tested them through ballistics gel with 25 odd 6 and 6.5 Creebore at 25 yards. They do okay in that, but they still lost a lot of weight. I don't think they'd do well in your 300 Weatherby.
they'd be going almost 3,300 feet per second. So I don't think they would do great. So
At 165 grain, yeah. I mean,
no,
it'd
it'd
be
be
a
a
good
180
whitetail
grain.
load, but I wouldn't hunt anything bigger than whitetail with it. It's just going to explode.
Yeah. Okay, Gary says Weatherby does need to update the twists on the 257, 270, and 7mm so they can
Yep,
shoot their DC bullets. I think they'll do it
absolutely.
eventually.
You need to email Weatherby and let them know. That's the biggest thing. If 15 people email Weatherby and let them know in a day, they start looking at it, you know?
Yeah. Okay, Trevor says got to pay to play with Weatherby calibers. Super speed costs a pretty penny. It does. It really does. And that's why Alaskan and I say if you're going to get a Weatherby cartridge, reload it, or it's probably not worth it unless you really love Weatherby cartridges and Weatherby guns.
But if you really love them, you'll get into hand loading.
Exactly, because you'll get better accuracy and just as fast velocity or more. Okay, I think we're caught up on comments right now, so I have another question for you.
Okay.
You've done videos on this, and so I'm just letting my viewers know. What do you think is the best hunting bullet and the worst hunting bullet?
Best hunting bullet is Barnes LRX.
Okay.
I'll see it shred its petals sometimes, but it's guaranteed to open, and it's guaranteed to penetrate just about all the way through. I've had it not penetrate all the way through once, and I don't know what happened there at all. It might have been a bad lot number or something of the bullets, but it's still, I never found the bullet, even though it didn't penetrate all the way. It just destroyed the insides. I looked on everything, everywhere. I looked in the heart and everything. I couldn't find it. That was at 459 yards. Last year, or the 2019 hunting season, excuse me, I killed a caribou with 6.5 Creedmoor at 288 yards, 127 grain Barnes LRX. My wife is killed with Barnes LRX. I've seen Barnes TTSX not open up once you get at range, like 300 yards. I've seen, I've heard a lot of stories of the Barnes tipped TSX not opening up as well as some people think. But for me and for a lot of people around here, the TTSX opens up very well. So the Barnes LRX is my favorite. My least favorite would probably be Hornady ELDX. I haven't seen them shatter too much. If you hit bone, and I'm not even talking shoulder bone, I've seen them hit rib bone and just shatter and explode. I've seen them hit the spinal column for an upper shoulder shot and shatter and not knock the caribou over. That was 162 grain ELDX. So it's probably all right. 7mm rim mag. It's probably all right for like a whitetail. You're going to shoot them in the neck over food plots type bullet, which is what I prefer to do when I was hunting whitetail over the food plots. It's probably all right for like a coyote bullet, but I wouldn't actually take it. I wouldn't take it big game hunting. I know a lot of people swear by it, but and I get all sorts of trash mad comments about my video on that. But you know, I've hit a caribou right through the boiler room, and it shattered and just destroyed a freak ton of meat. And on both the entrance wound and where it splattered everything, the opposite shoulder and opposite rib cage were just destroyed. So I'm at the point now where if you're gonna use ELDX, you better be shooting 400 plus yards, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. My dad has a 6.5 PRC Savage 110 Ultralight. He's been loading it up with the 143 LDX. I got him 127 LRX for Christmas. We'll see if he uses them.
Yeah.
But he has zero plans to hunt with that. I mean, he's only going to hunt with deer. I thought originally he might try elk, but when we went elk hunting, he was pretty set on just taking his 300 Win Mag instead of the 6.5 PRC. So I don't know. I kind of agree. I've used partition. I've killed an elk with a partition. Worked great.
And partition's great.
Yeah.
The only thing about partition is it's really hard to get that half MOA group out of a lot of them. A lot of them, they don't have a high BC, and so they're a 400 or 500 yard cartridge limited. Whereas that LRX will, even though it's got the highest BC it can for being an all copper bullet, that one will get you out to 700 yards, and maybe the Accubon long range if you need something bigger than that. In my opinion, but yeah, and 700 yards is most people shouldn't be shooting 700 yards at a game animal, including myself. Really, I hadn't practiced with it in a long time. 500 yards is about my max. So to me, LRX, but the partition, it's great. It's on that top 5 best hunting bullets video for sure. So you can't fault the partition. The only thing I've killed with the partition was a 6.5 foot, 400-pound grizzly bear. So
nice, and it worked pretty well.
I didn't find the bullet. Yeah, I shot it right underneath the jaw through the mouth. It was facing me at 88 yards, and it splattered it. I mean, the thing went just splat and collapsed. But it was still reflex breathing when I got up to it, so I had to put more rounds through its head.
Oh, cool. Jess says speed kills. It does. I think having the right bullet helps a lot, though.
Yeah. Like I said, if you're wanting to kill a game animal, shot placement is 90% of it, bullet construction is 9% of it, and 1% of it is your speed, power, etc., whatever you want to call it, foot-pounds energy, feet per second. All right, it's all physics. Yes, it really helps. I've shot a doe in the neck with the 223, and I've seen it twitch a little bit afterwards. I shot a doe in the neck with a 300 Win Mag, and it didn't twitch at all afterwards. It was just plumbed down. But the bullet did the same thing. It went in there, tore up, blew up everything, and it was fine. So speed helps, but it was only 1% of the equation. If I didn't put both of those right through the base, the brainstem right there, I would have ruined a lot of meat with the 300 Win Mag, and I probably would have never found the deer with the 223 VMAX.
Yeah, you're using the VMAX.
Yeah, well, that's what the gun shot so well. It was it loved my 55 grain VMAX, or excuse me, 55 grain Hornady tap, which was loaded with the VMAX, and it shot it at my best group with it was a 3-shot group at 0.277 inches edge to edge at 100 yards. And that's nothing to like. That's the tightest group I've ever shot. You're talking the edge to edge, the size of the group. The group size was exactly that of a 270 bullet. So. Nice.
The smallest group I've ever shot was 1/4 inch with a 30 Nosler. With the ELDX too. So
ELDX is an accurate bullet, and so I don't have a problem with people want to hunt with it if they're so accurate. But just make sure you can take brainstem shots in your gun. If you're not willing to take a brainstem shot, you might lose an animal. Yeah. And people who hunt deer with 6.5 Creedmoor and say, I never see anything. I never see any blood. I can't find the animal. It wasn't powerful enough. Blah blah blah. They're using an ELDX, and it's like, well, maybe you shouldn't make an ELDX is a match bullet with a tip on it. That's all it is. It fragments. It's not bonded in any way. Yeah. Why would you use it? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Okay, I got a question for you. Okay. We talked about this last night. I asked you on your chat. But we might as well talk about it on mine. Sure. Your opinion, most overrated cartridge. And I know your answer, and I kind of agree with you. But go ahead and answer.
270 Winchester. And I like 270 Winchester. I own one, so don't hit me too hard in the comment section there. But I've had 2 now. They've always been finicky on accuracy for me because if you get one with a hinge floor plate because they like to erode the throat very well, and then they like to be loaded long. The chambers are really long in a lot of rifles. The Tikka, the Browning I used to have, the Thompson I used to have, Savage Axis, I'm sure the chamber's pretty long in that too. And to fit the lands, if you're fitting the bullet to the lands. And here's the thing, whatever a 270 Winchester does, 7mm rim mag or 30-06 does better. Except maybe have the same BC in a 30-06. So if you have a 130 grain Barnes TTSX and a 270, it's going to have a better BC than a 130 grain, which they do make, and I've got a box of in 30-06. But that 30-06, because the casing is can fit a little bit more powder in it, that 30-06 just a little bit, 50 to 100 feet per second faster. And I'm in a spot where I may lose service, so if I do, I'll get back.
Okay. I mean, you've got the comments going. Any 270 is sweet, most overrated cartridge. And then O'Connor is rolling in his grave.
Yeah. Now I like it. It's fun. I've had one. It was my primary deer rifle for years. It's great. I do say a close second would be the 6.5 Creedmoor. 270 is overrated because, in my opinion, you have to buy a custom barrel and 1 1/8 twist to get high BC bullets. 6.5 Creedmoor is overrated because it just doesn't get the speed, in my opinion. 6.5 Creedmoor is made to be a short action rifle, particularly in an SR25 platform, the LR308 platform, AR-10 type rifle, to replace the 308 for long distance shooting. That's what it's made for, to replace the 308 in a short action rifle. And people don't understand that. People think they get told by the gun salesman it's the latest, best caliber, and so they buy it, and it's a little overrated. It's not getting the speed of, a 140 grain in 6.5 is not getting the speed of a 140 grain in 308. If you can find a 140 grain for 308 Winchester, so it's a little overrated. What happens is the high BC really makes for it up at distance, like 4, 5, 6, 7, 800 yards. That high BC will really make up for it in distance. But 6.5 Creedmoor is overrated, and I love the cartridge. I got 3 of them. All right, so don't hit me too hard in the comment section. But yeah, 270, you can't shoot over a 150 grain bullet, and when you do shoot a 150 grain bullet, it's going as fast as or slower than a 30-06 165 grain bullet. So again, whatever 270 does, 30-06 does a little bit better. And 7mm rim mag does it better than that, both of them for the most part. So I would say 270 Winchester is most kind of overrated cartridge. They need to make it in a 1 1/8 twist and or a 1 9 twist instead of a 1 10, 1 11. And they need to make it where it can handle the heavier bullets. Get the 165 in there. Go ahead. What do you think, Mr. Reloading?
I agree with the 6.5 Creedmoor. The 270, I did put it in my top 5 most overrated cartridge, mostly because I just don't think it's very versatile. Your hunting bullet can basically 130 to 150.
Right. So, I mean, you could make the case that it's versatile in like prairie dog hunting, because I mean, I got some 95 grain Barnes TTSX to load up for it, which I'm going to make a video on. Since I did the 100 grain GMX, and honestly, the 100 grain GMX would be a great deer load. That thing was going 3,400 feet per second and expanded well, penetrated a pork shoulder in like 3 water jugs afterwards. So it's going to penetrate and be a great whitetail deer load, especially if you're not hunting thick brush. But yeah, I like 270, and it could be versatile because there's Barnes listed an 85 grain bullet, and Spear has a 90 grain TNT hollow point if you want a prairie dog hunt or coyote hunt or something. So it's versatile from coyote up to elk or moose, but I don't think you get better than elk or moose. Like brown bear is not its cartridge, No, you can't do better than that because you can't get the heavy bullets for it. Like it should be versatile 85 grain to 165 grain. That's where it should be versatile at, and it's not. Whereas the 30-06 is versatile if they still made them. I don't know if Spear still makes the 90 grain TNT for the 30-06 they used to make for the 30 caliber. It was a long time ago. But if you found them, you could do 90 grain to 250 grain with the 30-06. Although the 250 grains, going like 2,000 feet per second. But 220 grain for sure, you can get that 30-06 going. And it's just an interesting thing. A lot of people hate that, and I like the 270. Don't get me wrong, but it isn't overrated for what it is. Yes, it is. All right. And even O'Connor said the 30-06 is better at most things. So the 270 will kill just fine, but the 30-06 is better at most things. So whoever said O'Connor's rolling in his grave, no, he's probably agreeing with me if you read all of his writings.
I think he meant it as a joke.
I'm sure.
Gary says, for a question for both of us, what's your favorite game animal to hunt? And secondly, favorite to eat for both of you? For me, I'll answer first, elk. And it's also my favorite to eat. Go ahead.
Ruffed grouse. Favorite one to hunt is ruffed grouse, and favorite to eat is ruffed grouse. So,
you're talking now. We're thinking about birds. I might change mine to pheasant.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
an easy answer because it's easier to hunt. It's not as big of an imposition. I don't have to drive 5 hours to go hunt the grouse. I can literally walk across the street, and it tastes delicious, especially if you get a ruffed grouse, which is actually white meat. The breast meat is white meat instead of dark meat. So,
no, I've had grouse. It's good. So,
oh yeah, very good.
Okay. Theron says 6'5". I agree. So, at least in my channel, I don't think I have too many people that are liking 6'5" Creedmoor.
Actually, say it again because my volume got turned down again.
Oh, okay. Theron said 6'5" Creedmoor. I agree on being overrated. So,
yeah, I totally agree.
Anyway, we don't need to beat that dead horse anymore. Jess says, I always liked the 270s for light, fast, flat bullets. And if I need a heavier, sleek bullet, I'll grab my 7mm Rem Mag. So, I mean, I have a 270. I like it. Now, I just got to get it to shoot well, because it shoots like crap right now. But that's more, I think, to do with my gun than.
Well, you bought a cheap Savage Axis, and they're hit or miss. You bought that cheap Savage Axis, and they're hit or miss. You might get one that shoots half MOA, and you might get one that won't get under 2 inches. That's how they are.
Yep. Okay, Ron says the 270 Winchester 150 grain Nosler Acubon long range will carry 1,500 foot-pounds of energy at 2,000 feet a second out to 556 yards. The best 30-06 load will only meet this standard out to 536 yards.
Okay, but it'll hold more at close range most people are shooting at. And it'll get the bigger, better penetration with the heavier bullet. So at those closer ranges. So again, 270 only shines at certain things, whereas 30-06 is a better all-around cartridge. I'm not saying for prairie dog hunting the 270 is better for sure. I'm not saying it's a bad cartridge. It's just overrated when there are plenty of other good cartridges out there. The 6.5 PRC will hold better than that. I mean, so if you want to go there, the 6.5 PRC just had, I have it pulled up here. I just parked in front of my house. So I have it pulled up here. Hold on a second. Osler. I mean, the 150 grain Nosler Acubond in 6.5 PRC, you can get it going 3,077. And so that's faster than a 270 with the 150 grain Acubond. And so therefore it'll do even better at those distances. So again, whatever the 270 does well, there's another cartridge that does it better and does more stuff.
And let's make it clear. I really like the 270. I know you, I don't know if you really love it, but you have them and you, I'm sure you appreciate them. I bought it just to give to my son when he gets into hunting. And I wanted a deer hunting cartridge. Sure, the 300 Weatherby could do it, but a lot of people would say that might be a little overkill on a mule deer. So that's why I got a 270, was just for deer hunting and to pass on. So
yeah, and the 270 will do fine on elk and caribou, and heck, it'll do fine on grizzly bear. Like everything has ear holes, is what I say. But like it's not ideal for hunting everything in North America. It can do it. There are better cartridges for moose, elk, brown bear, bison, black bear, which are tough when they get big. You know, Are there better cartridges for caribou? Yeah, but 270 is still one of the best cartridges for caribou. I won't deny that. So,
and I think it's one of the best cartridges for deer hunting, especially out west, mule deer,
sure,
in longer
absolutely.
distance when it's not, within 100 yards back
I've
east.
killed,
Whitetail.
yeah, I've killed a freak ton of deer with my old Browning 270, and that gun sucked.
Yeah. Jess says, I like that saying, everything has ear holes. Laugh out loud. Okay. Hopeful Remnant, 270 Winchester or 6.5 284 Norma. Thoughts? I don't have any experience with the 6.5 284 Norma, so I guess by default I'll pick the 270. I know what Alaskan will say.
Oh yeah, that's easy. Although my wife picked the 270 when I let her shoot both of them. I like the 6.5 284 Norma. I'm an odd guy. I like odd calibers like that. I think they're cool to play with. Number one. Number two, I just think it's a versatile cartridge. You get a higher BC. You get about the same feet per second. I think the 270 with the same bullet weight will outshoot the 284 Norma, but like 20 or 50 feet per second, it's not much. And it's not enough to make up for the difference in BC. So the 284 Norma, that 6.5, will have a better BC, and so it'll carry more energy than 270 at 5, 6, 7, 800 yards, maybe even 400 yards, with the same bullet going within, Now, I think the new 150 grain Accubon long range they load in 6.5, that they don't have listed in the 6.5 by 284 Norma. They only have it listed in the 6.5 PRC in the Nosler manual so far. And I think with that bullet, you'll probably get more feet per second with the 270 than the Norma in your heavier bullets. But in your lighter bullets, it's only going to be 50 to 100 feet per second most of the time, depending on what it is. So, for example, my 6.5 by 284 Norma gets about 30, 40. Now, granted, it has a 26-inch barrel with 127 grain Barnes LRX. And that's hand loads. My 270 Winchester gets right about the same, 30, 40, 30, 50 in a 22-inch barrel with 129 grain LRX. So if you're not hand loading, you pick the 270, 100%. Is there factory ammo available for the 6.5 by 284? Yes. Do I have factory boxes at my house? Yes. Do I have more hand loads? By far. If you're not hand loading, get the 270. If you're hand loading, get the 6.5 by 284.
All right, so we have a lot of comments to catch up on. All right, Lou says 36 all the way. Sorry, Lou, we're going to keep this a family channel. I'm not going to show your 270 comment. Lou also says, I think the 300 Weathery Magnum is top. I agree. He also says 220 Swift kicks. Well, it's a darn good cartridge, is basically what he's saying. That's all you need. It's pretty, I mean, it's quick. 220 Swift is way fast, but small bullet. Christopher says, I saw Lou kill a lion with his 30-06. Probably did. Ron, my grandfather's rifle shot a number 3 moose and a top 5 BNC bison with the 270 Winchester.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it can be done. Good for him. No, it can be done. I just think there are better cartridges for those animals than the 270 Winchester. Does that mean you shouldn't do it? No. Now I think in Canada, they have to have a 30 caliber or larger for bison, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I think that's the rules in Canada. There's somebody North 61 or not North 60 or something channel in Canada. He was talking about his best bison load or best bison rifles. And yeah, I shared the video and I commented on it. So if I get my bison tag, I should take my 338 Win Mag over my 7mm Rim Mag. He goes, heck yes. So I think they have to have, it might have even been a 34 or 32 caliber. I can't remember, but I think it was 30 caliber or larger to accommodate like the 300 Weatherby and 300 Win Mag. So
nice. Okay. Lou is saying I shoot triple shocks. My 338 Edge actually improved. Cool. My 338 Edge is shooting 4,750 feet per second. How small of a bullet are you shooting?
Yeah, that's a lot.
You're shooting a 100-grain bullet.
That's a barrel burner right there. Unless you have nuclear grade steel, you're replacing the barrel every 200 rounds.
Yeah. Okay, Jason. Here's a good question. Well, he didn't really have it. He just made a statement. I've been on the fence with the 270 or the 6.8 Western. Side note, you can never have too much gun.
Totally agree. I would tell him 6.8 Western, unless you're like me and don't like the rifles that they're in. Until Savage 110 is able to come out with one in 6.8 Western, or Bergara or Remington 700 even, I do not like the Browning rifles. I've just had one that was crap, and I know they make some good rifles, don't get me wrong. I had a Browning 270 that was absolute crap. And I could not get that thing to shoot. Every 50 to 100 rounds, its throat erosion was bad, and I'd have to pull bullets I've already loaded and make them longer and stuff. So I don't like Brownings, and so because of that, the Browning and the Winchester are the only thing that have the rifles right now. So until there's support from other gun companies, I can't buy the 6.8. But if you like it, there you go.
All right, Theron says, I have to run, guys. Good evening. I just subbed to Alaskan Ballistics. Thanks, guys. Hey, thanks.
Thank you,
Theron. Thanks for stopping by. Okay. Jess, which one will you get more velocity out of, 6.5 PRC or 6.5 284? I'm thinking about getting into the 6.5 game.
Okay, so if you read the loading manual, 6.5 PRC. That being said, my 6.5 284 has a 26-inch barrel. And I'm still getting a little bit better than what the loading manuals say. Some loading manuals say 24-inch barrel. Some loading manuals say 26-inch barrel. My 6.5 PRC has a 26-inch barrel, but the last inch and a half is a muzzle brake. So it's really a 24.5-inch powder burn area, and then an inch and a half of muzzle brake, maybe 2 inches of muzzle brake. I'd have to measure it. So honestly, between my two rifles, I'm thinking the 6.5 by 284 will get more velocity unless you can find the certain powder that it needs. 6.5 PRC really loves Reloader 26 to get more velocity. So the highest listed I shoot 127 grain LRX. The highest listed in the 6.5 by 284 is with Reloader 22. And that's hard to find up here, but I have found it. And it's getting 30-40 in my rifle, but it's listed at 30-12 or 30-20 or something like that. But it's getting 30-40, 30-60, somewhere in that range of my rifle. I have a video on it, Barnes 127 grain LRX. But the 6.5 PRC is listed at 3190 or 3170, excuse me, with Barnes LRX. And this is all off the top of my head, so I could be wrong on these numbers. With the Barnes 127 grain with the Barnes 127 grain LRX, the 6.5 PRC is listed to get 3170. That's significant. That's 150 feet per second more than it's listed at the 6.5 by 284. But I don't think between my two rifles I would get that, number one. And number two, that's the only powder that gets up above 3100. The rest of them are like 3070, 3060, 3090. So if I'm getting between 3040 and 3060 in my 6.5 by 284, and my 6.5 PRC has a 24-inch barrel plus a muzzle brake, I don't think I'm actually going to get more velocity in the PRC unless I can get that one powder Reloader 26, which I can't get. So that's been my debate. I own them both. Get them both if you can. But I would get 6.5 by 284 just because I love it.
All right. Lou says he's getting sub MOA at 600 yards. I think he's talking about his 338 edge.
Sweet, cool.
Gary, BC, it's 175 grain and 2,000 foot-pounds at 100 yards for bison in the Yukon North 61 is right about 30 caliber.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then Jason, who asked about 270 Winchester or 6.8 Western, says, totally agree on that. Waiting for the 6.8 Western. Thanks, fellas.
Good luck, man. I know you see the ammo here. It comes in and it stays on the shelf for weeks because nobody has one for the 6.8 Western.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, then once people discover it's there, I think people have actually gone and pulled the bullets out. Like people, I've talked to people and they're like, I don't have one yet, but I might just pull the bullets, or I might, you know, because you can't find the 165 grain Accubon for 270 either. So if you got a custom barrel 270, that people have actually bought the ammo, pulled the bullets, and sold the casings.
All right, Luce says he has a 34-inch barrel on his 338 edge. That's really long.
Oh, that's why he's getting 4,070. Okay.
It's like 50 BMG barrel length. Okay.
More than.
Yeah. Christopher, I think this is a great question for Alaskan Ballistics. Guys, I know this is pathetic and sad, but I actually don't. I've never shot a Glock. Actually, I probably have shot a Glock, but I don't own one. So, you guys ever shoot a Glock?
Okay, and just I want you to say to you, Reloading Weatherby, you haven't shot a Glock, or you don't own one, and Jesus still loves you, just so you know.
Thank you.
Yeah. He forgives everything. Anyway, yes, I own 7 Glocks, and they're great, and you should get one. My favorite Glock to shoot is my Glock 34. Long barrel, heavy slide. It's very accurate. Next is my long slide 10 millimeter, and they're all on my channel. I've got tons of videos on Glocks on my channel. Everything from the Glock 43, 43X. I had both on the channel, all the way up to Glock 29, 10 millimeter, Glock 30 and 45. I don't recommend getting a Glock in 40 Smith & Wesson, only because the chamber support is a little light for that high pressure cartridge. That's why you had Glocks blowing up. It was bad ammo, but Glocks were blowing up. And so did, I know a friend, it happened to a Beretta 96 and a Springfield XD too. But it's just a high pressured cartridge. And that's why 40 Smith & Wesson isn't loaded to what it used to be. You used to get a 1,100 feet per second with a 180 grain bullet, and in the early 2000s. And then they backed that down to like 1,050 or 1,025, you know? So that's with a 5-inch barrel. So I would definitely say, you know, don't get 350 or 40 Smith & Wesson or 357 SIG for pressure reasons. Although this 357 SIG isn't bad, but 10 millimeter, 9 millimeter, 45 Glocks are great, man. I owned a Glock 21 and 45, a Glock Model 40 and 10 millimeter, a Glock 29 and 10 millimeter. My wife has and carries a 43X and in 9 millimeter. I carry a Glock 19 and 9 millimeter. Or my Glock 29 and 10 millimeter, I have a Glock 30 and 45 ACP. My Glock 21, I've converted to shoot 45 Super. Video coming out in a couple weeks on that. And I have several videos in the past already on that. So yeah, you know, I've had a 43, I got a 34. Yeah, so I have 7 Glocks, I believe. If I'm not mistaken. Let me count them up. I've got 2 45s, 2 10 millimeters, and only 2 9 millimeters right now. Take that back. I might only have 2 45s, 2 10 millimeters. Might only have 6 Glocks right now. Seems like I'm missing one off the top of my head. Oh well, we'll figure that out later.
All right, Hopeful Remnant. He actually looks like he has a 6.5284. He says Reloader 22 is good for 6.5284. Mine shoots the 120 grain nozzle ballistic tip at 3150.
Sweet. I bet that fractures those ballistic tips. They fracture pretty good at that speed. So.
All right. Ron says, regarding Canadian Moose, you are correct about the 30 caliber. Rebarrel your 270 Winchester to a 1 8 twist. The new 277 bullets all have a higher BC and SD up to 180 grain compared to the 30 caliber 30-06 loads. So,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, getting that higher twist rate, it would make the 270 a much more versatile cartridge. Jess also apparently is a sinner. I don't know that I've ever shot a Glock. I've handled them a bit, and I just don't like the grip angle and mag release bugs me too. So,
yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't like the way they fit their hands, so don't worry about it. Like, I mean, Jesus still loves you, but like, he still forgives your sin. But my thing is this: I first learned to shoot on the Glock, and the grip angle is terrible. Don't get me wrong; Glocks do not fit my hand in any way, shape, or form. That whole "it fits your hand" thing is a bunch of BS. I shoot my Glock 19 better than guns that fit my hand. My Beretta APX fits my hand way better. I mean, it fits my hand like a glove. I mean, it just feels great in the hand. My Springfield my Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 with a with the smaller grip on it. And it feels way better in the hand. It's not even close. But I'll outshoot both of those guns with my Glock 19 and my Glock 30, my wife's Glock 34, excuse me. That's her SHTF handgun, Glock 34. And the whole fit your hand thing, it's all about what you can get used to and what you can tolerate. There are guns that I've shot terrible that fit my hand great, and there are guns that fit that don't fit my hand well that I shoot great. I've had some really bulky grips on a 1911. Somebody had sold me a 1911 with the Hogue over molded grips, and so it didn't fit my 12-year-old girl size hands here. Thankfully, everything's not 12-year-old girl size. Otherwise, I wouldn't be married to a hot woman. But anyway, and I could still shoot that gun well, even though it didn't fit my hands. It's all about fundamentals of shooting. So I would say, if you don't like Glock grip angle, that stuff like that, whatever, man. It's still going to be more reliable than your 1911. Still going to be more reliable than your Berettas. So it's about what you can deal with. I mean, Glocks aren't perfect. I've had issues with them. I've seen ones that had issues. There was a bad run of Gen 3s with extractors. They're not perfect, but overall, they're going to be extremely reliable guns.
All right, Lou, I think you're starting to troll the channel here a little bit. I'm not going to answer that. I'm not sure if you're even serious. Okay. Ron says, do you have to have a guide to hunt moose up in Alaska?
No, but brown bear, Doll sheep, and I think mountain goat, yes. I don't think a non-resident can hunt bison. Now, I don't have to have a guide to hunt any of those. If you're a non-resident for brown bear, Doll sheep, and what else? Brown bear, Doll sheep, and mountain goat, I think. You have to have a guide.
Cool. Good to know. Jeff says, I just have to get used to a Glock. I know they're a great gun. There's a reason they're so popular. So,
yeah, there you
go. Busta, my Smith & Wesson 2.0 and 357 SIG fits the Joe Frazier size mitts. Oh, mine. So does the Glock 43 9mm. So
there you go. You can get used to anything.
All right. Well, it's been an hour. I think it's been pretty fun, but I think I'm ready to end it. You good, Alaskan? Yep.
Yeah, I'm good. I just made it home a few minutes ago, and thanks for having me on. For anybody who, thanks for praying through me getting home and all that kind of stuff. It was the 4-wheel drive went out my truck, and it was freezing, sleeting rain. So I was stuck in a traffic jam most of the time, though. So Reloading Weatherby said, hey, if you're stuck in a traffic jam, let's go on now so I can get to bed early. And so I was like, sure, let's do it. All right. Yeah. So anyway, thanks for having me on, man.
Thanks for coming on. You definitely boosted my chat numbers. So,
good.
So awesome. So guys, go check out, I'm sure you've heard of Alaskan Ballistics, but if you haven't, go check him out. He does a lot of cartridge tests where he's testing the velocity and penetration of hunting bullets. He's done all sorts of cartridges. Really good channel. So go check him out. Thanks guys for coming, and we'll talk to you later.
Thanks guys.